Hey everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat channel, and today guys we're going to talk about the top 8 decks of this format. My picks, what I believe are the top 8 decks of this format outside of E-Dragons. So remember that, remember to keep that in mind. These are the top 8 decks of this format outside of Dragons. Okay, so let me just tell you a couple things first off. These are just my personal preferences after I've dueled a whole bunch of these decks over the past format, and I came to conclusions. Some choices were harder to put. I wanted to put a little bit higher on the list than others for certain reasons, which I'll go over. You may not agree with all my choices, but this is just pretty much personal preference from playing decks in real life and playing these decks personally, their matchups and stuff like that. So let's get started, guys. Number 8, I have Fire Kings. Now, it's not just Fire Kings that number 8 represents, okay? Please keep that in mind. Don't get all upset because I just put a picture of Garunix up there and I said Fire Kings are number 8. It's not just Garunix. Number 8 represents just about every good deck out there. So I'm talking number 8 represents Gadgets, Gravekeepers, Six Samurais, Noble Knights for the time being. I'm still don't know about the new Noble Knight support. I'm kind of iffy on that still. But you know what I'm talking about. Good, well-rounded decks. So Gadgets, Six Sams, Gravekeepers, good other decks like Infinities, just good, well-rounded decks that have been around for a long time. Insectors, Dark Worlds, stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, guys. I think you know what I mean. Well-rounded decks. And pretty much number 8 and number 9 and number 10 are all well-rounded decks, but I just cut it down to number 8 to make the video shorter. So decks, pretty much every other well-rounded deck that's in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently is at number 8, no matter what it could be. Just Garunix, that's what Garunix represents. I couldn't find a picture of all these decks at once, but pretty much that's what number 8 represents. Fire Kings, the reason I put Fire King Garunix there is because I recently have been playing Fire Kings, and yes, they're kind of an expensive deck if you want to play with Wolfbark, but still I find the deck very good because Garunix can keep coming back and blowing up the field, and that's very annoying for many decks out there when you keep, Garunix keeps coming back and blowing up the field at different times, and that's just really annoying for any deck, and I've had many people say that Garunix is worse than Grapha. I don't know about that, but he's pretty badass as a boss monster. So, number 7, it's, yes, Bujins. Now, you may ask yourself, why did I put Bujins so low on this list, even though they're getting more support in Shadow Specters? Well, they have gotten more support in Shadow Specters now, and they're getting more support in Legacy of the Valiant. They don't have that broken card. They don't have their Judgment Day. Like I've said before, they don't have a Bujin Day. And I don't like the way Bujins operate personally, but I'm not going to hold that against them. I don't like the fact that Yamato is your best card, okay? And pretty much, no matter if you have the new card, Mikaju, I'm even going to try to pronounce it, but the new card that you have that's, I think, at 19 attack, and the other one you're getting later in Legacy of the Valiant, that you're relying on just those cards on the field, and you put all your resources into those cards. But the thing is, Bujin Yamato is by far the best Bujin, and I don't like that you have to put all your resources into one monster. I like to have some versatility with my deck, so that's why the deck places a little bit lower on my list than it usually may with you on your list. But pretty much it was a coin toss between number 7 and number 6, which I'll explain in a second. But I just wish Bujins had a little bit more versatility. I know the Black Garden Bujins is a very good deck, but maybe it's just the fact that I haven't played a lot against very good Bujin players. There's about 2 Bujin players at my locals, but they're okay. I mean, the decks, one plays Black Garden, the other one doesn't, and the decks are the verdicts are still out. I think it may change once they get their complete support after Legacy of the Valiant, but still, there's some other better decks out there in my opinion. Number 6, it's Blackwings, guys. Yeah, there's Blackwings. Blackwings come out number 6, and they beat out Bujins for the because I've been playing with them a lot this format, and they do pretty good against just about any good deck out there. People know how Blackwings play, but there's some certain cards you can play in the deck to make it better. And the reason why they edged out Bujins was for the fact that they have a great trap card in Icarus Attack. Icarus Attack is one of the best trap cards for winged beast monsters, and that fits right up Blackwings' alley. Another thing is I've been trying some new cards out in Blackwings. If you guys don't know what Crane is, and that's Crane, it's a common card, but you pretty much can use it very well in Blackwings. You have 3 Kalutes, you have 2 Blizzards, you have 1 Gale, and you also have, on top of that, you have 1 Vayu if you run Vayu. And that gives you so many targets for Crane right off the bat. So you may want to try running 1 or 2 Crane. But I just find Blackwings a little bit more versatile than Bujins, and a better deck overall than Bujins. Just a little bit better. Even though people know how to play Blackwings, and just about every player knows what to do against Blackwings, they're still the better deck in my opinion. Next up is Madolches. Now you may say Madolches kind of is my wild card per se. It's kind of like that one I threw out there, and I mean I'm currently trying to build the deck. I find that Tiramisu, the boss Exceed monster, is a very, very good Exceed monster in my opinion. It's amazing, but I know the card lost Ultimate Offering and some good traps, to make the deck better, but I just feel like not enough players play this deck, and it doesn't get enough credit that what it deserves. I mean, it recycles its cards, it reuses its resources, and it's just a very good deck overall. I know there's OTK variants of it, but I just like the deck overall, and I just feel it does very good, and it doesn't get enough credit for how good it is. I think if more people played Madolches, the deck would top more often, but I just don't think not enough players play it, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And also, if you guys actually play Madolches, and you have a good, if you actually play Madolches in real life, I would actually like to have your help in building my Madolche deck that I'm currently trying to build. But I look for if you know how to play the deck, please give me a shout. Next up is Prophecy at number 4. The reason I put Prophecy at number 4, guys, is for the fact that I play a lot of good Prophecy players at my locals, and they're very good. They're very skillful. And yes, the deck sometimes gets inconsistent hands, but I find that even though Judgment Day is gone, the deck is still very good. High Priestess of Prophecy is very good. People have mostly gone back to the High Priestess of Prophecy build. The deck is the same as it was before Techion, and it's still a very good deck. It may not be super broken, it may not be tier 1, but it's still a very good solid deck, and I don't think people give it enough credit. I think it's a very good solid tier 2 deck, and if piloted properly, can be very good and very deadly in certain people's hands. Believe me, I should know firsthand. Also, if you're running field spells in your deck, it's really a pain in the butt to go against Tower if you're running field spells in your deck. But that's at number 4 for Prophecy, guys. Number 3 is Firefish. Now, I know it's 3-axis is pretty much dead in the water. I believe it's 3-axis. I believe is dead in the water because of Spirit. So 4-axis is pretty much the only thing remaining, because you have Chicken, aka also known as Rooster. I don't know why the heck they changed the Chicken, and I still don't know why. But still, I find the deck very deadly. There's a lot of Firefish players actually at my locals. Pretty much what they did is they put the deck down after Dragons came out and Mermails came out, but they repicked it back up after Chicken was announced that it was coming out and Wolfbark came out. So the deck's very good. It's very, very good in my opinion. It's very underrated. I don't think it's the best deck out there, but I think it's definitely, as I show you guys here, it's in the top 3 outside of Dragons of this format. The problem I have with the deck, and many decks have this problem, but the main problem I have with this deck is that it falls to skill drain hard. Now, you may ask, well, why do I say it falls to skill drain very hard? I personally have played my skill drain deck. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up. in my channel of my decks I played for 2013. I play this deck in real life, and every time I get to go against Firefish players at my locals or online, Skill Drain just shuts the deck down, and literally they lose. They just about auto lose. And it's because all their monsters are not the best attack unless they get their effects. So they have great effects, but not the best attack as beat stick monsters. So you know where I'm going with that. But overall, I think the deck is very good and very solid for the most part. And I think it deserves to be at number 3. Number 2, it's Evil Swarms. Now, Evil Swarms, I was considering to put at number 1, but it was literally a coin toss between the number 1 spot and the number 2 spot, and it got number 2. For the fact that Ophion is a pain in the butt to get over sometimes, but sometimes he can be very easily to get over. But Ophion shuts down so many decks nowadays. I don't know if he's ever going to get hit, but it's not Evil Swarms that's the problem. It's Ophion that is the problem. Ophion. The deck should be called Ophion, not Evil Swarms, because if it wasn't for Ophion being an Evil Swarm, the deck would be irrelevant in my opinion. But it's Ophion that makes the deck and makes it things revolve around Ophion. Ophion is kind of like in the same way like Bujins, but I find it a little bit better because, like Bujins, you have your motto, you protect your motto. You get Ophion out, you protect your Ophion. But with Evil Swarms, you have some 17 beat sticks. You have some other options to the deck if things go badly, and you can spam level 4s fairly easily. So there's a little bit more versatility there, but it just shuts down so many decks, and it's one of the best options against dragons in my opinion. And number 1, guys, is Constellars. Now, this is for a multitude of reasons why I put Constellars at number 1. First off, it's the fact that Constellars have a better matchup against Evil Swarms. This has been proven time and time again when I watch Constellars and Evil Swarm matchups. Plus the fact that this was also true in the latest ARG circuit tournament where you had, in the finals, you had Evil Swarms and Constellars. And the Constellar soundly beat Evil Swarms. They just have a better matchup, and Constellars have a better matchup against Evil Swarms inherently. But also, I find Constellars with Pleiades, and you have a walking compulsory evacuation device that can bounce anything on the field, to be very, very good. I think he's one of the best, level 5 Exceed monsters in the game. And he's just such a great monster, but you have to forget they also have M7 and good other cards like that. So there's just a variety of good Exceed monsters they have. And the deck overall I find is very solid and very good. And I've played against this deck multitude of times, and it's just a pain in the butt to deal with sometimes, with certain decks, that is, mind you. But it's just a pain to deal with. And I think that if dragons weren't a deck, people would be complaining about this deck a lot this format. I think if dragons die next format, like as a deck they die, and I think Pleiades and Constellars are maybe the number 1 deck of next format, just barely. I think it's going to be a tight race, but I think Constellars may edge out everybody in the end. I just got a feeling in my bones, and that's all I'll say. But that's number 1 on my list, guys, is Pleiades and Constellars. So, from what you got to take away from this, guys, there's a couple of things I want you to take away. It doesn't matter what deck you play. You can usually beat E-Dragons. If you put in the proper cards in your deck, so things like Vanity's Emptiness, or Soul Drain, or Iron Imperial Wall, or whatever it may be. If you properly side the cards into your deck that you play, you can beat dragons. Any deck can beat dragons if properly piloted and properly played and properly equipped. You can beat dragons, guys. So keep that in mind. And just remember, guys, these are just my opinions on the top decks outside of dragons for this format. Please tell me down below, guys, what do you feel are the top tier decks, or the top decks outside of dragons this format? So what do you think are the top decks outside of dragons this format? And I look forward to seeing your comments, guys. And I hope you guys enjoy these discussions we've been having lately. And if you'd like me to do more discussions on my channel, please let me know. And also, if you have any discussions or things you would like to discuss, or things curious about and you'd like to have a discussion, please leave a comment or personal message me, and we'll probably do that discussion on the channel eventually. But to next time, everybody, take care, have fun dueling, fight the main meta, and Seto Kaiba, guys. I'm out of here till next time. Good luck dueling to y'all.